Hey guys, okay, we're trying this. Welcome to YOLO with ToLo. We're gonna try this one more time, child, and see what happens with this audio with Facebook. And yeah, I'm in lovely California. Okay, like my head's kind of cut off.
Hey,
Hello.
how you doing? We're
I'm
doing this.
okay. Trying to get my camera to cooperate here.
Get yourself together, boy. Okay. So, hi, how are you?
What's wrong? I'm good. How about yourself?
Hey, y'all, good. So, speaking of uncertainty, it's kind of uncomfortable because we deal with uncertainty all the time. And one of the things that's been uncertain the last few weeks is, or the last month that we've been trying this, is the audio on Facebook. And we've been on Facebook forums and we've realized that a lot of other people are having issues. When they add somebody else, they're echoing or there's some sort of echo issues. But it's good to see you today.
It's good to see you as well. What's happening?
Okay, so I'm in San Francisco, my bedroom. Where are you at again this week? San Diego?
I'm in San Diego. I spent the day in Oceanside, which is about almost an hour from San Diego, with my friend Rich Cruz. A lot of people know him from Cruz Photo. We had a blast. We went whale watching. We didn't see any whales today, though. But saw some sea lions and a dolphin who was looking for a pod. But I just enjoy being out on the water. It was just love. It was a little rough, but it was. I just love being out there on the water. That's my zen space, my peace when I'm on the water. So that's how I get quiet. You want to shut me up? Put me on the water.
I don't think there's any way to shut
It
you
was
up.
good.
No, really? No, I'm just kidding. And that's a good thing.
If I'm floating on the water, I can. There are ways. There are ways.
So this week we're talking about befriending uncertainty. Last time we talked about, we had a year-end check-in a little early because since it was like the 1 month mark before this year ends, can you believe this year is over? By the way, Kevin is producing today. So anyway, hi Kevin.
Hey Kevin.
Can you believe it's almost over this year? What the?
I know. I tell people all the time, you better get busy living or get busy dying. So you better enjoy
that.
That
is so good.
And the older you get, the faster they come around.
Right? Well, you know what they say? Well, I always, somebody told me this when I was 30 and now I'm 40. But now you can maybe grace us with your wisdom because you're 10 years older than me. Looking great, but
you sound like
anyway.
my sister.
But the crazy thing is they say at 30, your life exponentially like gets faster. And I just feel like, where did the last decade go? Hey,
right,
Lisa.
Right. It becomes like a little fog. But yeah, I wouldn't trade any of it. I mean, I'm having a blast, and I'm grateful. So yeah, the years fly by, but that doesn't worry me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I guess when you're younger, it's like, okay, well, I get this age, I need to have this done, I need to have that done. And you've got this life to-do list. And then somewhere along the way, you realize that that's all bogus.
Right?
It's just like, I have to live moment to moment.
Yeah.
You have a long-term idea or plan, but it's not you can't map it all out. You got to surrender to the process. Speak the answer, the dream, or whatever it is you want to achieve, and then kind of let life flow and to get you there. But yeah, I don't fret about it anymore. I mean, no, they do go by faster, but I'm loving every bit of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But I think when you're going through something, it seems like you're, like there's no hope sometimes, like you're the only one going through it. And so,
that's when life slows down, right?
Right.
Yeah. When you're in that space, then it's like, then it feels like it feels like this is going to last forever. It doesn't. It just feels that way. But when you're up and you're doing your thing and you're in your flow, the time goes by.
Yeah. Right.
So, and the quickest way, to get out of those funks, if you will, is to realize that you're in one in the beginning, in the first place.
Being aware, that's key, for sure.
And it's always, and it's always uncertain. So, when you're in that space, I don't know when we were taught to fear uncertainty.
Right.
We're like a microscopic speck in the universe. What makes you think you can control everything?
Yes. Right. I know, and the thing is, I think we're in more control than we actually are. right? And there's, there's this whole idea of balance and trying to find balance. I really think that from a spiritual and philosophical kind of point of view, like when you spin a top, it's never really in balance. It's kind of going this way and just kind of correcting. And I feel like that's what life is about, right? So you guys we're talking about befriending uncertainty, whether it's loss that you've dealt with. Hi, Uncle Tommy. Speaking of loss, you know, Tommy, good friend of mine who I call Uncle Tommy. He's just a little older than me, but he lost his partner, who's a dear friend of mine as well. And when the holidays come, there is uncertainty on how you're gonna feel, how you're gonna grieve. There's certain uncertainty in the world right now, in terms of like politics, environment, personal, professional, spiritual uncertainty. So let's get down to it. This segment one, we need to get better. I kind of like my little handwritten things, my little segment placeholder.
I like them too.
You were throwing shade. No, you used to throw so much shade about, oh, those look tired, but whatever. They're organic and authentic. So segment one, ToLo's topics. The uncertainty in the world, personally, professionally, spiritually. Things are kind of crazy, right?
Kind of, sort of, or they appear to be. It's all in what you take. What you take in, what you allow to be. I don't know, I was out on the water today and I noticed the little bit of wildlife that I did see, and the sea itself. They weren't stressed about anything.
Okay.
They were going, wave after wave was coming along, and the little seagulls were doing their thing, and the sea lions were doing their thing. That one dolphin was doing his thing. So it's that's what I'm reminded. I'm like, okay, there's all that chaos is not out here. Any chaos that's out here in this ocean is probably the pollutants that we humans have
the plastic there. And all that. That is why I love being in nature so much. I love animals because they're in the present moment. They're not trying to think about that next thing. Right. Kevin, by the way, producer, says that our signs are backwards. When you get on live, did you hit the reverse button? I don't even know if you can at this moment. But
oh yeah. Oh no, I probably did not.
Okay, I don't even know if you can go back and do it, but oh well. No. It is what it is this time.
Well, we got audio. Let's not, right?
Right. We've been dealing with a lot of uncertainty with audio. But anyway, yeah, I love to get centered in nature. And here's like a little ninja tip, I think. Like when I am meditating in the morning, and every morning, we've talked a lot about, like, even if you have 1 minute, if you don't have 1 minute for yourself, there's something wrong, right? To check in. So in the morning, when I wake up, I do my little routine of, water, apple cider vinegar, a little sprinkle of salt, and a squeeze of lemon, and I drink. Oh, hey, yep. So you drink that. It's good for your digestive, right? Then I go and I will just look at a plant. I'm blessed enough here in San Francisco that my living room kind of like faces the city, and I see trees and stuff. So I look out the window sometimes, or I light a candle because, that's, the fire is part of one of the earth's elements. And then I just focus on that. And then I just focus on, Eckhart Tolle, one of our favorite spiritual teachers and authors, says, focus on the vibration in your fingertips. And when you're doing that, you're not thinking about other things. So that's really like a ninja kind of like meditation tip that I do. But that really kind of helps, brings me back to, this sort of like pseudo balance, this kind of idea of like the top that we were talking about earlier.
Or at least it brings your focus back on you, and not all the stuff that what appears to be crazy and swirling around you.
Yeah.
So when you bring your focus back to yourself, then it does put you kind of back in control of how you react to those situations around you. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's I think it's important to try to find those things that when you feel like things are out of balance, or you feel the stress. You and I always talk about going back to the present moment. But I think the steps to doing that, the pragmatic steps, are to stop, breathe, realize the situation, know that you're having a moment, right? And then, feel it. And I've learned also, one of the things that I've learned a lot is that all of us have act the way we do because of something that has happened to us, to our child in us. There's a 10-year-old Toan or 12-year-old Lonnell or whatever, little boy, little girl in us that wants to be seen, heard, felt, and it's it acts out when there are triggers. you know, like that bring up that emotion. So it's important to realize when your blood is boiling, when you're feeling that kind of surge or that stress or that anger, is to just, I think the breath really helps me get back to that.
Yeah, it does. For me too. Sometimes you'll start working yourself up and say, okay, let me just take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'll start working myself up again and say, okay, I need to take another one.
Yeah.
I might take 3. Yeah, but the point is you're focusing, you're switching the focus back to yourself because you realize you're out of sync. Your energy is out of sync. So what are you doing to get back to that center space?
Yes. Right.
So.
And that's important, and that's, you know, that's always with you. You know, so a lot of people, always, you know, think that, oh my God, when I go to the Bahamas, or, you know, I'll go to a beach or whatever or pay all this money to go on some sort of vacation to like unwind, and they find themselves stressing out still, or on their computer working on the beach or whatever, when it really is, it's in here. When you can kind of find that breath, really, I think on a physical level, it calms you down, right? And then mentally, then you can go there when you're dealing with that, you know?
You can deal with it, right? But you got to have that spiritual and mental clarity in recognizing, you know, okay, you're in this stressful state and what's happening, and you got to pull yourself out of it spiritually.
Yeah.
You may not necessarily pull yourself out of it physically, but you need to think clearly.
You know, I actually had an idea for another topic, but really quickly, if you could explain what spirituality means to you when people are talking about spiritually, this, that, like, what do you mean? Because that's what friends, people have DM'd me on my Instagram and asked, like, what do you, like, can we kind of walk and talk to me about spirituality?
I don't speak religion, but I speak that part of me that's not physical. Mm-hmm. So that's where my joy lies. And sometimes my pain, some of my emotional pain might lie in that spiritual space. So for me, it's just, it's that is me, but it's outside of the physical. So like, I'm not feeling a physical pain in my arm or my leg or something, but I might feel a pain in my heart. So what is that whole realm? That is what I consider spiritual realm, and the way that I access that is my spiritual. For me, that's my spirituality. Religion can enhance or destroy that, but each person has to find their way. And for me, that's what it is. It's the part of me that's not physical. And how I navigate that, the path of which I navigate that is my spiritual path. For me, what about for yourself?
Yeah, you know, I think spirit and spirituality, you know, like spirituality, it's different than religion to me, because religion is like you're following either an idol or following something. I think, to me, we should talk more about this later, because I know that Oprah talks a lot about, you know, how she had an aha moment when like a guest back in the day when she was doing the Oprah show was like, wait, I don't even know what you're talking about. And it's interesting because I don't really necessarily like whack spirituality and talk about that, but I think it's just the way we live, the way we operate, the way we feel deep inside. The way we treat people, I think that's all a part of spirituality. The way we work through problems, it's that sort of invisible kind of energy that is, I think, in us, you know, that, you know, and there's, you know, spiritual laws, like life lessons, things that we learned, and if we don't learn them, we keep talking about in our episodes how you and I believe, at least, that it comes back in different ways, shapes, and forms. So I feel like to me, spirituality is just a way of living, being that inner space that is us, but not physical, I guess, you know. Right. And you know, what was interesting too is that you know, when people, I literally like have had people reach out to me on Instagram recently, a few months ago, and was like, hey, can we do a quick walk? I know that you're spiritual and I just want to learn more about it, or like if you have any books or anything that you could kind of, you know, pass along to me or give me titles of, you know, it's constant work, right? And it's just about, I think, evolving as a human being.
Yeah, definitely so.
Right. Anyway, speaking about evolving, I know these are backwards because by the way, you guys, when you go live on Facebook, you have to hit this button. You can Google it, but you have to hit this button to flip everything around. But anyway, I know this is backwards, but segment 2 is Dump the Hump. You know, our show is called YOLO with ToLo, You Only Live Once, with Toan and Lonnell. And you know, we thought it'd be kind of fun. When we started this, we were just rambling, talking about stuff that people are talking about, and talking about stuff that, you know, as themes that have come up in both of our lives during the week, or ideas or things, questions that you may send us. And one of the segments that came up from one of our friends, Dee, who's a producer in Hollywood, she was like, you know, let's come up with some themes or themes, and then segments in those themes. And one of them is Dump the Hump, which is where we talk about just getting through, related to the topic, but getting through. So, you know, you and I talked about this earlier today when we did like a pre-production call, but let's talk about how you and I, Toan and Lonnell, deal with uncertainty. This hump day, like, how do you, what is either something you're going through or have gone through, in relation to really embracing the uncertainty and then coming through it okay, because you always come through it okay if you just always think about, if you just think about anything in your life that you and I, any big challenge where we thought it was like the, you know, like, oh my God, how am I gonna get through this? This is so hard, whether it's heartbreak, breaking up with somebody, losing a job, but guess what? We came through. And once you know, I think one of the things that you and I try to do with the show, and try to do with one another, with other people in our lives too, is know that, you know what, you're not alone, and there is hope.
No.
So know that you does get better.
There's a path. There's a path.
Yeah.
There's a path out of through this. So it doesn't last forever. For me, I realized that the uncertainty was all based on fear. So as long as I'm in a place where I'm scared and afraid, I'm going to, you know, fear uncertainty. And so for me, it was like realizing that, okay, this is all fear based. And if I can just kind of navigate, I don't necessarily say I have to befriend the uncertainty, because I don't need no new friends. Hashtag. But to understand, you know, I may not necessarily like you, or want to be your friend, but I will respect you. So I can embrace you on the respectability level.
Okay.
And just kind of understand that, listen, this is a part of this, and I know that there's something valuable in this if I just, you know, if I trust the process. So I appreciate the uncertainty, because for me it's the adventure, and I've learned to really appreciate the adventure of life, because I just sit back and look like, okay, Miss Universe, I've given it all I've got, but I'm turning this over to you because I know you work in mighty strange and mysterious ways.
Yeah.
So it becomes, for me, it's adventure, and I like a good adventure.
Yeah. But, you know, somebody that's, you know, trying to pay their bills or has, you know, kids to feed, you know, is not an adventure, right? I mean, just.
Well, it can be. It may not be a comfortable, joyous one in the perception of your current situation, but yeah, I mean, you might have stressors like kids, Lord, or or overdue bills or whatever. Sorry that I keep adjusting. This chair is just really crazy, but you still have to find that adventure in that. You know what? It's like, I'm in the pits of hell in my life right now. Okay, so how am I going to get out of this? So, you know, and then sometimes, you know, it's like you've laid down, you've cried and whatever, but at some point you don't see how you're going to get yourself out of it, but you know you've got to get yourself out of this.
Yeah.
So when you surrender to whatever, the obsession with these problems, and you just kind of take it one step after another, and it becomes an adventure. You don't know the next step.
Yeah.
And if you try to control it, like I can only get from A to B this way, you're only going to make yourself more miserable. So when you let go, it does become an adventure, no matter what it is.
Isn't there something? Isn't there something really though to flow? That's kind of what you're talking about, right? Is being in the flow. Like, what is this here to teach me? What if I'm broke? Where am I spending too much, or where am I not saving? Or if I hate my job, I've had a lot of discussions with people, including today with two other friends who we're talking about doing the things that excite you and trying to balance that out, or, you know, like hating your job and feeling that sort of self-betrayal, and you know, people that are working on projects that are just like, God, when do I just fold? right? And when do you not, you know, and one thing I say is, you know what, if you can't, if you can't, basically we're so much more out of control than we think. And if you really can't change anything at the moment of your current situation, or you can't really worry about what you can't change, but what you can worry or put energy into is what um, you can change. So say you hate your job, right? Well, guess what? You don't know who wants to hire you or what opportunities may come when you make that shift, and tell your intention to the universe, tell people that, you know, I really want to find a new job, but in a totally different field, right? But what you can do is, guess what? Apply maybe one resume, send it out, apply to one job a week, one job a day, whatever you have space for. You can, you know, and if that's not working, maybe you can, you know, go to more networking events, or if you feel like something's wrong with your cover letter or whatever, like meet up with people. But I feel like, you know, you can't really stress about what you don't know, you know, and what you, or I mean, what, if you don't know what's going to happen or you can't control it. That, I think that's one thing. And the hardest thing, I think, is people really, you and I talk about this often personally too, is, you know, we are exactly where we are supposed to be, and I think that is so hard, right? Because sometimes it's very uncomfortable on where you're supposed to be. It's almost like a butterfly, you know. One of the analogies that I love to use is a butterfly in the cocoon. Like, it's all like has to do this and like get strong enough to break through and then grow,
Right.
and fly, you know. And if it doesn't do this and work its little muscles and work its, you know, work itself, that
Right.
it can't break through and then create wings and fly. And so I really think that you are supposed to be where you're supposed to be, and
Right.
you know, do what you can, because we are very powerful beings. Like, we can be, yeah, we you and I talk about how, be careful of your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Be careful with your words. They have energy. You know, it changes your
They
reality,
manifest.
right?
They do.
So I think
They
those are
do.
just some
I
ways.
know
And
all too well.
and it's just
It's
really,
true.
you know, it's so hard, the idea of working. So in terms of projects, like talking with my friends, it's like, you know, you can do as much as you can and then release it and surrender. And, you
Right.
know, I have a friend who's doing this app for a healthcare thing, and it hasn't launched yet, so I'm not at liberty to talk about it. But she, you know, her co-founder got cancer, and so had to jump ship. And then her, one of the person that was building it, the engineer building it, you know, didn't work out. So she was looking for months on end, and she was just like, you know what, I'm okay with just holding it. If, you know, by the end of the year I can't find somebody. And guess what? Boom, found somebody. Kevin says
Right.
it's okay to not be in control, because
Not
we
be in
never really are.
control.
Yeah.
Because you really are. You're not.
Yeah. You're not.
You might
I mean,
think you are, but yeah, you're never
yeah.
really in control. Hey, Nikki. You may feel that way, but you're not in control. It's like there's a greater plan, a master plan. What you need to do is
Yes.
just be obedient to the calling on your life. Be obedient to the path that you're supposed to
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
And when I say the path you're supposed to take, that's where you have to find your spiritual walk, and not what someone else, what your parents define for you, or what your church
Yes.
defines for you, or what society says
Oh,
about
that's
you.
good.
You have to find that for yourself. And
Yes.
so that's always that's the biggest challenge. But once you root yourself in that space, then you're all good.
Yeah.
What's next up? What's our next
Amen to
topic?
that. Okay, so next is Talk to ToLo, segment 3. And this is where people send in questions, or you guys can just chime in out there if you're watching. Question 1 is, now let's talk a little bit more about not befriending uncertainty, but embracing it. I like that better. So question 1 says, from Lisa from San Francisco, says, how do you keep the faith when you don't know if what you're working on is going to manifest? We just talked a little bit
That's
about
what
that.
faith is, Lisa. Faith
Yeah.
is not knowing. So you're good, girl. You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to know.
But okay,
and that's really the sweet spot. Go ahead.
How do you know then if, like, okay, so say you're working on something and you're like, oh my God, it's been 3 years or 5 years, and like I'm still not making money, or I'm still don't know if I'm making an impact.
Okay, so you need to ask yourself why you're doing it in the first place. Are you doing it to make an impact, or are
Are
you
you doing
doing
it to
it
make
to
money?
money. And if you're doing it to make an impact, how do you define impact? It has to be the biggest, it has to be number one on the list, or does it have to be, or are you, is it okay if you're making an impact on one other individual?
Yeah.
So you have to define all that stuff. And again, those are all those external pressures that really have nothing to do, they shouldn't have anything to do with who you are. And so you're not supposed to know the answer. You're supposed to speak the answer, have faith, and then follow, like, what's the next step? What's the next right move? What's the next right move? What's the next right move? And then before you get there, before you know it, you're there. And then what I have found is, like, when I've reached the end goal, it's been satisfactory. You know, it's been a thrill, and I've been grateful for it. But the sweet spot has always been the journey of getting there.
Yeah.
Just every time. About to get there.
Yeah, and I know that's kind of sounds like hard when you're actually trudging and working through it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really like the learning. You know, I think Henry Thoreau, there's a quote that's something that's loosely, I did this in my intention setting session last year where I pulled up, you know, this quote and shared it with my two soul siblings that we do intention settings every 6 months. But it said something along the lines of, success isn't necessarily like how much you make doing something or what, you know, you perceive like in terms of like impact. It's really how much you've grown, right? And when you grow, then that energy is transferred to the other people. You're sharing it with other people, right? And so that's really important to know. And I think in a society that is we're so obsessed here in America with you know, celebrities or how many follows and likes and social media and all that, right? That we really kind of yeah, fame or whatever, but we really forget that the magic and the magic or that sweet spot that we're talking about is really in the day-to-day interactions, right? How kind are you to the barista at Starbucks or wherever you go to get coffee, right? How do you make somebody feel today? Maybe something you said, or maybe something you posted online and using your platform, maybe something you said to somebody at church. It doesn't have to be this like big old magnificent thing that's picked up by Forbes or on Own Network or whatever. I mean, it really is your day-to-day, minute
what
to
is
minute.
What is your random act of kindness for today? What have you done, not because, you know, just not because you needed to, but because you wanted to, and you surprised somebody, whether it be speaking to people. I smile sometimes. Sometimes just give somebody a hug. You just don't know what people are going through, or just having some kind of compassion. I've noticed something that, you know, even like when I'm downtown Chicago, it's happened, or when I'm in California, like if I'm walking down the street, sometimes I encounter a homeless person or someone that's in need of money. I don't necessarily give them anything, but I always look at them and acknowledge them. And I can't tell you how many times they have stopped and said, you know, thank you for acknowledging me, or thank, you know, just being appreciative of them, or acknowledging their humanity, not just treating them like they're just something some trash on the sidewalk you're gonna walk over. No, I don't have any money to give you, but I still see your humanity. I still, you know, can give you a smile and speak.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, and I do that. You know, obviously, unless you know they're mentally ill or like trying to, they're just you know, crazy. You don't want to meet crazy with crazy. That's one thing. But you're right.
Crazy
like if somebody's sitting
the
there,
street,
somebody's sitting there peacefully. It's okay to look them in the eye and smile. I mean, I can't tell you how many times here in San Francisco I walk past people and I'm like, hi, and they're like totally shocked that you said hi, you know, or that you looked them in the eye and just did a quick smile, you know. And I think it's really important. Okay, getting to question number 2. Kay from San Jose says, I don't know what I want to be or do when I, quote, grow up. So how do you find your passion if you're uncertain about what you're passionate about? I get asked this question so many times because, you know, I've taught at 2 universities and I've been teaching at the university level for almost a decade. And I'll take a stab at this. I think, well, I know that the first thing is go back to what excites you. I mean, really, you know, it's hard nowadays, I think, for young folks because you have Google at your hands. You have all this technology and all this information. It's so fast. You know, it's easy to not really be in tune, which that's where meditation helps, to sit there and be in tune with really what excites you, you know. And I think that is a really great place to start. But not knowing what you like I know I don't like numbers, so I know I'm not going to be a banker. I know I'm not going to be an
Right.
accountant. Knowing what you don't like is helpful to finding out what you do like. And when you're doing something that you feel like, oh my God, time passes so quick, and you forget about the world, that's a great indication.
That's a huge and wonderful indication. But yeah, you definitely need to have to be in pursuit of it, of whatever your passion is, and you don't have to identify it right away. But like you said, knowing what you don't like is an indication you need to stay away from certain things that pertain to that particular level of distaste. As you pursue things, and you need to be sure that they actually make you happy, and they're not because this is going to make you a lot of
Mom
money,
happy. Yeah.
or this is going to make my family happy.
Yeah.
And I like what Kevin says. It's okay to try out things also. And if you fall, learn from it. Exactly. Failure is just life trying to move you into another direction.
I just saw, I don't know if you follow Forbes on Insta, but I saw a meme of the quote of the day. And I think it was from Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy, who said, failure is or perceived failure or whatever is part of growing your business. So you're going to fail no matter what. So fail fast and fail hard and learn from it and move on. And I think that's really
and become the richest man in the world.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's something that's really important. Like, learn about why is this happening? Because really, I love the quote from Eckhart Tolle from his book A New Earth that says the universe conspires to help you, but when the shutters are closed, the sunlight cannot come in. And I will repeat it again and again and again and again, because it's so true. Because once one door closes, like every time I've given up an opportunity, like I'm like, nope, not for me. Or I've taken it on and I've done it and I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I may be afraid because it's a steady paycheck or whatever. Once I do it, even if I have nothing, ahead of me, like no projects or no nothing, no speaking engagements, anything, things open up. It's almost like taking a glass of water, pouring it out, and voila, it's like magic.
Magic.
Speaking of magic, let's take a look at this. Let's pretend that this is flipped around and this is Digital Detox segment 4.
So my trouble spot, but yes.
Right. So something very interesting that actually Kevin found from dailymail.co is a study that came out that says that smartphones and tablets are causing mental health problems in children as young as 2. And what it's saying is that it's crushing their curiosity and making them anxious. So Kevin's going to post that study and that article down on the link below. But it says that in just an hour a day, if your 2-year-old or older spends 1 hour a day looking at a device, any device, a screen, it could damage their mental health, making children more likely to be anxious and depressed, and that young children's minds that are still growing are susceptible to damage from technology. That's a digital detox.
Yeah, that's a huge digital detox. And then you need to start and formulate those habits where they're not dependent on technology early on. And I know, like, as parents, sometimes it's like, give the kids a device because it'll keep them quiet. But sometimes they need a little ruckus in their lives. They need, they need to kind of engage in the now and in the real world that's right behind them, or right in front of them, not necessarily everything that's in that device. It has to be balanced.
Yep.
It has to be balanced.
I had some friends visiting recently, and one of the children said, "Mom, I'm bored." And all of us were like talking. We're having lively discussion. I'm bored. Give me the phone, And Kevin's right. Kevin's like, so glad I didn't grow up with gadgets. I know, right? It's crazy. But it's crazy because like now there's so many things that are just like imagining stuff for us. We're getting stuff thrown in our faces. We're not critically thinking as kids. We're not being creative. I mean, you need to be bored. Right. I'm sorry. You need to be bored. It's okay to be bored.
Yeah, you can. You can. You got to find something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's crazy that I believe that it is causing mental illness or at some sort of like, I'm sure there's going to be more studies out there that says that, this is really ruining your brain. And the crazy thing is If you haven't watched, I talked about it. I blogged about it. You can go to goinspirego.com. But Lisa Ling did a special on This Is Life on CNN about digital detoxing, literally, or how we're addicted to our technology. And she cites some people, and I've read in other articles of tech people that are at the helm of some of these big tech companies. They're putting their kids in Montessori schools, or they're not giving them technology. Wasn't it Bill Gates or whatever? Who was it that said that? I forget who, but there was a couple people, that well-known people that are in technology, that were like, yeah, we didn't give I don't think you should give your kids phones, till they're a certain age. Kevin says it's okay for parents to let kids be uncertain about how to spend the next few hours.
It is.
True that. It's crazy.
Force them to get creative.
Yes. And this article says youngsters become less emotionally stable, less curious, less able to finish tasks, and lowering their self-control. That is crazy. And you know what? I was so mad at somebody who I know that has twin girls, and I was like, man, it's so hard being a parent nowadays. He goes, no, it isn't. He was like, I just give the girls the iPads. They play with it all day. And you know what I thought? I was like, you know what? If your kid is growing up and being taught by an iPad and learning from iPads and and treating and having some sort of connection with that and not you, they're not going to be connected to you when they're trying to figure out where you're going to live when you get old, your old folks home, or they're not going to want to take care of you because there's no connection. I mean there's nothing that can replace even these dating apps, right? There's nothing that can replace old school chemistry and feeling one another's energy.
Nope.
So
you can't replace it.
Yeah, so I think don't get me wrong, it's hard. I had my niece and nephew for a month this summer, and my nephew's 13, my niece is 10, and it's like sometimes when I have to take a call or whatever, it's easy just to say, okay, you guys can be on the TV,
right?
Or you could be on.
No, you gotta
your
set
phone.
those boundaries.
Easier. Yeah, so I think it's important to set boundaries because again, like we're using technology here for good. I think it's it's different when you're just using technology to bully, or using technology just to aimlessly be addicted to looking at other people's lives on Instagram and feeling depressed and thinking your life sucks because your life isn't like their life and blah blah blah. And then it's like kind of like going down a rabbit hole.
Their life isn't even like their life appears on Instagram. So yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's a whole other show. But yeah, you're right.
Anyway, so speaking about digital detox, let's get off because it's getting late and we both got to eat. I know you had a long day in San Diego.
Eat, and then I'm going to relax a little bit, go have some tea, wind down. I have an early morning tomorrow.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, y'all. Thanks, Kevin.
Get your apple cider vinegar.
Okay. Wait, what do you have that for? You're drinking it? Okay, good.
Yeah, I put it with a little taste of honey in my water.
Okay, nice. Awesome. Well, it's good to see you. I'll see you next week.
You too.
See y'all next week.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, y'all.